Hi everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of Chasing Wheels. This channel documents my adventures in road bike racing in Melbourne, Australia. This is my second season of racing and I'm still learning along the way. Today's race is stage 1 of the Footscray Cycling Club Tour. This is a multi-stage race with general classification based on aggregate time, along with sprint and climbing points. Stage 1 kicks off from Balliang Hall. We do a couple of 10k laps around Balliang before an out and back leg to Lady Northcote. There are sprint points for the first 3 across the line on each lap and at the finish. There are King of Mountain points at the highest point in the course in both directions. I'm a bit anxious about today's race. I've been happily racing C grade in the local crit circuits for a little bit, but have really struggled with C grade in the road races and dropped myself down to D grade in the last race. I'm carrying 95 kilos and have done no hill training, so I'm expecting to get smashed on the hills, even though this is certainly not a Giro. I should probably be in D grade, but there were no other registrants in D grade, so C grade it is. My primary goal for the day is to try and finish with the main group, although this is highly unlikely based on recent form. Depending on how the day plays out, it might be fun to have a crack at the intermediate sprints, although that probably won't help with my primary goal. I cleverly left my heart rate monitor at home and my power meter battery died, so the overlay is a little bit sparse today. If you're enjoying the channel, then please hit like, leave a comment or subscribe to the channel. I'm working on trying to provide highlight videos with commentary rather than just full race videos with chapters. Please let me know if the format works. Feel free to hit the chapters to skip to the interesting bits. Anyway, on with the show. I hope that you enjoy watching me chasing wheels. Fast forward to just before the final corner of the first lap, and in the rear you can see Phil Tian, club legend, moving his way up. When you've got a sprint in the middle of the race, then the last corner before the sprint can be an opportunity for the people off the front to really set the pace coming out of the corner, and what you don't want to be is at the back of the pack trying to work out what's going on, get caught behind, and before you know it you're 500 metres before the leaders and you've got absolutely no chance for the intermediate sprint. I really enjoy following Phil's wheel, although I don't think he enjoys it as much as I do, but it's a great way to learn to follow a club legend, asking for advice, and he's always really helpful with providing that advice. So we're just working our way up towards the front of the pack before we get to this final corner. So let's just enjoy Phil's wheel for a little bit longer. Phil gets us in front of Will there, and we're now at the front of the race, coming into the final corner before the intermediate sprint on lap 1. I've got to say my race preparation has been pretty inadequate, and I have no idea how far it is from this corner to the first sprint. A little bit of an elbow flick there from Phil. Time for me to go and take a bit of a turn at the front and into this corner. Let's fast forward a little bit from here. So we've jumped forward a little bit. I've had a little bit of turn on the front. Phil's having a turn on the front, and we are approaching that final corner that I was talking about. I haven't done very good race prep here, so I really don't know how far it is from this final corner into the sprint. My aim really is to take a nice clean line here with Phil at the front of the race. I don't want to be off the front at this stage. I want to be sitting behind one wheel, maybe in sort of second or third. Phil gives me the flick. I'm like, nah, I'm quite happy sitting back here. Thanks, Phil. I reckon I want to follow Phil's wheel. I'd really love to have another couple of wheels come past and have the sprint started by somebody else. But we're going pretty slow here with the tailwind. Nobody's coming through, so it looks like it's time for me to have a bit of a crack. So I launch, and you can see that I have put a pretty good effort in there, got myself up from low 30s to mid 40s and created a whole heap of space behind me, and hopefully the finish line is just in front of us. As it turns out, I took that launch at 1.5 k's out from the finish line, which isn't the ideal place for someone like me to launch, but I've launched, so I'm giving it a bit of a red hot go. I really don't know that it's 1.5 k's at this point. Now you can see in the rear view mirror that the real racers have arrived, and they have just flown straight past me. There's only points for the first 3 across the finish line, and it doesn't look like there's any chance that I'm going to jump them after already putting in a massive effort myself. So with no points on offer, there's really no point burning all my candles at this point, so time to ease off and wait for the pack to catch me. But there's always a trick to this. The last thing you want to do is ease off and have the pack go flying past. So really need to accelerate as the pack gets close to you, just so you can jump back on the back. Preferably stay on the right side of the riders, or the left side in this case, so that I've got a little bit of a crosswind advantage as well. I've pretty much given up on this sprint, so I am now in recharging my batteries mode, chilling out with these folks before we hit the finish line. And you can see that I have grossly mistimed my jump for the sprint there, and we are just approaching the finish line now. And then once we've crossed the first lap finish line, it's time for us to chase down those 3 riders who got away from us. So there's the first lap complete, and so now it's just a chase of those riders. We'll fast forward a bit. We've caught up to the riders, and we'll see what happens next. So we've fast forwarded a little bit onto the next leg after the corner, and you can see Club Legend Phil T in 76 in the Footscray colours, just soft pedaling his way forward. And it's a bit hard to see with the camera angle that I've got here, but basically Phil is gradually drifting away from the main group. Nobody seems to be wanting to chase him. I guess we're all depending on the group being able to chase him down later at will. But off he goes, and it's quite a while before we will see Phil again. You can see here that while we're racing, we're also really about safety here. So you can see Stephen giving us all a bit of a signal to avoid some of the bigger lumps and bumps on the road. We all want to try and win and get the points, but realistically it's all about staying rubber side down and everyone leaving with the same amount of skin as they arrived. So that's around the corner, last corner again. This is the second lap. There are intermediate sprint points on offer. I am much happier with the position that I am here. Looks like I'm about 5th wheel in this bunch, although Phil is well up the road and he is going to get the intermediate points unless somebody absolutely hammers it from here. I have learned a little bit from last time, so you're not going to find me sprinting with a K1/2 to go, but I really do wish that I had paid a little bit more attention to the landmarks and figuring out exactly where it is that I should sprint from. I tried to pay attention on the last lap, but not quite as clear in my head as I'd like it to be. So let's fast forward a little bit further. So surely it can't be too long to go to the line. We've got a downwind leg sitting on 34. Everyone's preserving their pace and everyone's preserving their energy, and it looks like time to launch, and off we go. So here we go for the sprint. Phil's already ahead. We've got 2 just gone well up the road. Number 73, Daryl, was in that first sprint group, so I'm just going to chase his wheel, but I'm kind of assuming here that I have no chance of getting the points with those guys up the road. But I'm going to just keep going and see what happens. Still got a fair bit of space, but it looks like they're slowing down, so maybe there's an opportunity if I just keep hammering, and there's the line, and just made it across the line for 1 sprint point, 3rd behind Daryl and Phil way up the road. So really happy with that for a C grade, getting some intermediate sprint points. Probably going to cost me dearly in a second, I reckon. A couple of different things might happen here. I'm on the front. People might just sit back and let me cop the wind, although there's not a whole lot of wind going on at this speed and in this direction at the moment. The other one which really worries me, having just made that effort, is someone comes flying past in a counter-attack. So really keen to make sure that I stick on not the first wheel it goes past, but maybe after a couple of wheels have gone past, jump on, grab a bit of a draft, and sit out behind these 2 riders now. So I'm not going to take a turn. I've just got some points. I'm wrapped with that, and I'm just going to try and recharge my battery, and hopefully people don't get too annoyed with me sitting on and trying to stay out of the rotation for a little while I get my legs back. Coming up to a corner shortly, and particularly relatively soon after the sprint, there's a really good opportunity for someone to just launch off the front as they go around the corner, and I really want to pay attention here. Opportunity for me as well, because I'm at the front or towards the front, but that's just not my cycling strength. So just really happy here to sit in that third wheel, round the corner, make sure the pace isn't going crazy, and time for everyone to sit up and have a bit of a snack as we now head out to the climbing phase of the race. Really want to conserve my legs for those hills. They're not huge hills, but they feel huge when you don't have any hill training. So at this stage, the race has been all flat for the whole race so far. We're gradually reeling back Phil, who's been up the road for what feels like forever. My legs are actually feeling brilliant, but I know that I've got some climbing ahead of me, so I'm a little bit worried about that. And my strategy here really is, as we get into the climbs, I want to not do too many turns on the front, but I want to try and get to the front as we hit the climbs, and try and sag climb, or try and sit on a wheel and get a little bit of a draft as we're going up a hill. So I'm pretty happy with sitting where I am at the moment, and then moving up as we get to the top of get to the bottom of the bigger climbs. This is a bit of a steady 1%-ish gradient, and everyone's feeling pretty good at the moment, I reckon. Alrighty, around the roundabout for the real test for me, at least. Heading up the hill towards Lady Northcote. So here we go. Bit of a slow push out of the corner as we get ready for the climb. My legs are feeling okay at this stage. I've had a decent amount of recovery working up the sort of shallow gradient. So I'm about as good position as I can possibly be at this stage. Bit of a chat here about what happens when the flags are up on that roundabout. We had a red flag, but the car wasn't coming through, and not sure whether it's supposed to be a caution or whether it's supposed to be a come to a full stop. So good to clarify that. Anyway, we've got a couple of riders pushing ahead a little bit here, just before we get into the increasing gradient. So a bit of a gap there to the front runners. I'm happy to just stay with the group. I don't need to get in the front. There is no way that I'm getting points for the King of the Mountain. My goal here is to stay with the group, stay in the draft as much as I can, and you can see the gradients are starting to go up through 3%, 4%, and everyone's starting to slow down, get out of the saddle, getting up almost 5% now, and this is where my lack of hill training is about to have me come unstuck. So the main group look like they're just inching away from me. 25's not very fast, but when it's got 4% attached to it, I'm just hoping that there's a few back markers who I can hang out with, and it looks like that is absolutely not going to be the case. So that is pretty much my race for the day, with another 27 Ks to go. I'm certainly here to complete, so I'm going to complete the race, but there is virtually no chance that I'm going to catch these folks from here. Fast forward a touch, and we are coming up to the line for the King of the Mountain points, and I am absolutely certain that there are no KOM points here for me, but we'll just keep on trucking. And whilst I'm certainly not in the race, I am keen to minimise the amount of time that I lose in the GC at this point, so keen to kind of push pretty hard over the top of this hill, and not so much gain, but at least not lose any additional ground as we go down the hill. I've no idea how far in front of me the rest of the pack is. You can bet your bottom dollar it's a fair way. They looked pretty comfortable up the climb before the elastic band broke for me. But let's at least get a little bit of pace, have a little bit of fun as we go down the hill here, and we'll fast forward a little bit further. Looking at this 8% gradient on the downhill, and I could feel it in the speed and knew that it was going to be a steeper climb on the way back. Really not looking forward to this hill on the way back. So I've still got a little bit of a way to go to the turnaround point. That was Xavier passing. So he's clearly got quite the lead on me, and looks like there's a bit of space here actually to the main pack as well. Yeah, Xavier looks like he's really got a decent break on the group at this point, and went on to get those second KOM points for the return leg. At this stage I'm kind of in preservation mode, trying to sit around, noting I haven't got a power meter, trying to sit just around FTP and keep a sustainable pace. I want to minimise the amount of time that I lose on the pack, and there go the pack. So yeah, I've certainly got a bit of pace, got a little bit of time that I'm going to have to make up, or more realistically, there's a whole bunch of time that's going to be put into me with the GC, where by the time I get back and everyone's already sitting there having a cup of tea and cakes, and there goes Phil, and I'm still on my way to the turnaround point at this point. Okay, so we have fast forwarded a fair bit. I finally made it to the turnaround point, well behind everybody else. Been hanging out on my hand solo for quite a while here, and up there in the distance is that bike I see. I think there's a bike up there. I reckon that's probably someone in my grade. So that's a great motivation to keep going. I would love to not be the last person across the line. If I can cross with someone, I would call that super successful. Let's fast forward a bit and see what happens. So that is definitely a bike off in the distance, and it's not quite so distant as it was before. Still got a few Ks to go in this race, so every chance that I will be able to catch them, unless they see me coming and decide to put down the hammer if they've got anything left. Well, I've got to say, this is a really good feeling, having had so much space in front of me. Nice to catch up to Will. Pretty happy to try and ride with someone, minimise my losses. There's no way that we are going to catch up to anybody at this point, but really nice to have someone to ride with for the last few Ks of this ride. Alright, pretty happy with the ride today. Will and I are just heading into the last corner with a bit under a K to go to the finish line. What are my thoughts for the day? Look, I knew the hills were going to be a bit of a challenge for me, so I was really about preservation for most of the time. Got a bit of a blood rush and decided that I wanted to have a crack at the intermediate sprints. Bit of a crazy go at that first lap with jumping out and getting up to 50 k's an hour or so with 1.5 k's to the finish line. That clearly wasn't a winning strategy. Much happier with that second intermediate sprint, where we managed to follow a few wheels. Thought I was in not a good enough position, but managed to sustain the effort and really have a good result there, getting 1 point. So intermediate sprint points on my first Footscray tour in C grade. You've got to be pretty happy with that. No surprises that as we hit the hills, everyone just got away from me. To be honest, I thought I might have been able to hold on a little bit further than I did, but that's life. Like I say, no surprises other than a little bit quicker than I thought. There's the finish line, and I will put up the, you can see here the finishing order, clearly right at the back there with Will. And then the other race that we had today was the time trial. Not much point doing a time trial video because it's just me and my bike, and particularly when there's no power meter. I lost 8 minutes on the GC in the stage 1, lost another couple of minutes in the time trial with definitely the slowest time trial, so objectively the slowest rider in the whole series on the time trial, but pretty darn happy to get the sprint points. And yeah, we're here for fun, here to learn, and definitely doing plenty of that. Thanks as always to the volunteers and organisers. These races don't just happen. They take a lot of organisation, and something like the Tour takes even more than the usual amount of organisation. So thanks, and back again tomorrow for the Stage 2.